Heather Lockett, and this is Lasting Conversations. Nancy Ferraro is with us today. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Heather.
Hi there. Nancy is a well-known Palm Beach County estate planning attorney. She's a best-selling author, a writer, a budding actress, and an all-around just phenomenal woman who has been around a few blocks. How are you doing today?
Well, haven't we all been around a few blocks?
We have been around a few blocks. So one of the things we'll go ahead and tap into, aside from where life is taking you beyond where it has been, right? Mm-hmm. So your best-selling book is called When the Bough Breaks. Yes. And that's a story of, we'll just say, a horrific journey that is now coming into fruition. So you got it on paper and it's out into the world to help people. And it's a very, very difficult topic, which gets into mental health and when life literally just shatters into pieces. And then here you are voicing that and now moving forward into the best version of you and your life and the best health for your kids and all of that. So tell us about When the Bough Breaks, and I'm going to then say, and how it's now germinating into a whole new tree.
Wow, that's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah.
So it's been a very interesting journey.
Yeah.
About 20 years ago, my ex-husband and I adopted a little boy from Romania. We thought that we were completing our family. We were very excited. A needy child, a home, and I was excited about how he would complete my little family.
Right.
What we did not know was that George is completely handicapped. He's totally involved. He has a range of disabilities, from fetal alcohol syndrome, which causes children to be abnormally violent, to attachment disorder, to everything that you can imagine that is attendant with that. He came to us a feral child. He was a wild animal in the body of a boy. So for almost a decade, almost every day, it was an exercise in survival. And when we all emerged basically vertical, and I realized that I had words, I also felt an obligation to shed light, share hope, and send a message that you're not alone. It's not your fault. I'm here with you. And the whole time I was writing this book, believe it or not, I had coaches who would say, well, you need to sell a lot of copies of the book and you have to make it marketable. And I said, no, if I reach one mother who is in that hopeless, dark tunnel and pull her by the hand and say, I'm here with you, then I have achieved my life's goal. And funny enough, the week the book came out, I met her.
Beautiful, beautiful.
To me, that was $1 million. But now I'm hooked and I want more. So knowing that you're very lonely in that you are losing all your social outlets, people run out of sympathy for you, they run out of empathy. And so your friends turn away, you lose your support system. And not having anything in the market that spoke to me. So the mother of Son of Sam never wrote a book, right? I'm sure a lot of mothers whose children have had criminality or mental illness would have liked to hear what that mother was going through so they could connect. There wasn't anything for me to reach out to. And that is basically the reason why I felt like I had to write this book.
You know, you just touched on so many different things. And was it a marriage breaker as well?
I don't even know. I know one marriage that survived it. Marriages
for your own family.
For my own, of course not. You know, my marriage was in a little bit of trouble anyway.
Okay.
But this was the final nail in that coffin.
Got it. Got it. So what you were just saying about where is the help for these kids, first of all, and the family and the judicial system and the court system and the mental health system. So is there something that you'd like to share within that? Because you come from a law background and you're an estate attorney, so you help people plan for some certain eventualities. But so within the systems, this is where it can feel so very, very frustrating because we don't know where to turn. And then especially as you were pointing out, when we're feeling perhaps shame, guilt, fear, oh my God, I don't even understand what's just happened. Maybe certain people in certain scenarios, they didn't know their kid was going to go out and do something literally insane and violent. But where to have that voice or where to even turn to. So walk us through some of that from your experience. And if you're finding through books such as yourselves and some of these other conversations, if things are getting better, as a matter of fact.
So to start, the first hurdle that you really need to get over is the fact that you need help. Mm-hmm. And for mothers, when we can't solve a problem for our children, there's a lot of shame involved.
Right.
Society blames us. We blame ourselves. And in order to get over that, you have to be in such a desperate situation that you no longer care about that. And that's exactly where I had to get, where I no longer cared. It was
what other people think.
What other people think. You don't care anymore because you are just trying to survive moment to moment, day to day. Mm-hmm. So the agencies that have resources hide from you. The services that are available are so horrific. I had one person it was in New Jersey. It was called the Division of Developmental Disabilities. They exist solely to help families of children with special needs. And I would call my caseworker and I would tell her what I wanted and cite the statute and tell her why I was entitled to it. And her response was always, how did you find that out?
See, I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out there. Is the state of Florida a little odd with these things? Because whether you're an ADHD family or whatever family, I can't speak to what it is now, but bringing kids up and hearing the plight of other families, the response was so similar. They had all this information. They even had help and resources, but nobody really wanted to talk to you. And I know of a mom whose sons were ultimately able to be diagnosed on the heavy autism spectrums, could get nowhere here in Florida. Literally nowhere. This is back in the 90s and early 2000s. She left the state and found help in a whole nother state.
I actually thought about moving George. Mm-hmm. First, let me say he's doing great.
This is the best part.
He lives in a group home in New Jersey, and he is thriving.
Beautiful.
That's the best part. Yeah, it is the best part.
Right.
The fact is he still has violent outbursts. Mm-hmm. And the fact that I am not the object of that violence gives me great comfort.
That's the best scenario for both of you.
It is. And it verifies that I did the best thing for him.
Right.
And so he is thriving. He's fine. And I did have a moment where I thought about moving him to Florida. And there are basically two reasons. Number one, he was settled in New Jersey. He's an adult now. And so pulling him out of a familiar situation would have been traumatic for him.
Right.
The second reason is because the resources are so scarce here in Florida. In fact, I think the Ernie L. Center for Autism is about the only resource that I'm aware of right now. And to get support services and respite is jumping through a hoop. You have to go through the state agency. You have to get on the list. You have to get approved. You have to move to the front of the line. You have to keep tabs on where you are because people hide from you. They don't want to do their job. They don't want to be bothered. They're pulling a paycheck. And the last interaction I had with my caseworker in New Jersey, one of the last, she sent me a packet of paperwork, 50 pages long. She said, this is 50 pages and I need it back before you get any services. Guess what? She had it back the next morning.
Mm-hmm. Well, imagine if you're not an attorney, you are a mom who is an attorney that can go through these 50 pages. So the families that they're on overwhelm and they don't have that even ability, this just sort of adds to the overwhelm for so many. But right now that there are many, many more agencies and more services in I know in this area and now the conversations are opening to understand the plight of mental health, or that even the police and sheriff's department are recognizing and getting trained in what is a scenario that is not necessarily drug or it's a violent scenario, but they're there to catch it before it becomes violent. If someone is in a mental health crisis or a psychotic break or something, now there's more training around that where there just never was before.
Yeah. And they get
so that's very helpful to know the helpers are here and they're
Yes.
trying, the agencies are hopefully trying to do the best that they can. And there's room for more, but now things have changed in the 20 years that I was referencing from the 90s and early 20s.
Right. And that's wonderful because, in the 1940s, 50s, 60s, you had a special needs child, they called them handicapped, right? And they would send them to a training school. They would put them away.
Right.
So the trend toward integrating them into the family, it's a beautiful thing. And I know the police officers that know my son, the security guards, everyone who's involved in the community knows my son.
Right.
And so that's another major reason I don't want to move him out of his community, because they're gentle with him.
Right.
They understand him. They try to reach him. And frankly, that's why you want to be involved in a community like this, because you want to be known. You want to be a known quantity. And if an officer's coming to your door, fire, rescue, somebody's coming to your door, that they have that heart of service, familiar with your child. They're not going to do anything to harm them.
Right.
Where, it could go south
real fast. Well, and then for that child or young adult or even grown adult to understand that these are actually the good guys. Like they're here to help you and not to run scared. So that's actually very important as well.
Yeah.
So George is thriving. He's doing well. You have blossomed this amazing book. Where is it that you would like to see that book? Well, it could be a Broadway show. It could be, because your ability as the conveyor. I went to your reading when the book came out, and the room of 50 some people were silent because you have something else in you besides your lawyering. You have something that's in you that is a presence. It's a stage presence. And so talk about now you're finding added voice on stage, and you're writing more, and tongues a wagon, and all the other fun scenarios. And if it's going to involve your book, what else is on the horizon for you there?
And I think especially women, we fail to see ourselves as a whole person. So I go to networking groups and they say, hi, my name is so-and-so, and I am a marketing rep. No, you're not a marketing rep. You are a woman who's had experience, and the life that you have had informs what you do. Right. And so I'm a woman who's had a horrific nightmare. I've found my way out of it, and it informs the way I lawyer. And I believe that because I've had these experiences, you want to say grateful? Okay, we'll go there. But did not feel grateful for that for a very long time. But because I understand the hardship, special needs, I've had experience in all of these areas, I believe it makes me more compassionate to my clients. Right. It makes me a better lawyer. It makes me more thorough. And the fact that I get to hug and kiss and laugh and cry with them, and they invite me to weddings, and we're friends, and they want to fix me up with their buddies. It's so heartening to me, because I believe that it's not my job to fill out a form. Why would I spend my days doing that? But I feel extraordinarily overwhelmed when I get the opportunity to change someone's life with the stroke of a pen. Talk about feeling small in this big universe, right? I'm doing that in my little corner of the world, and it is mind-blowing.
That's really just beautiful, because sometimes when things need to get written or rewritten, that is extraordinary, because it can change the course of somebody's life, sometimes to the detriment, depending on who's signing what. And then, but as you're saying, that you're gifting people the best parts of them as you are shepherding them. So within estate planning, and perhaps even weeding through the aftermath after somebody has passed away, there's mountains of paperwork, and people are in the most vulnerable time. And so what a gift that is, that you can, the word keeps coming up, as a shepherd, as a steward, to help them through all that.
It's extraordinarily rewarding. It's the only area of practice of law where I feel like I can solve a problem, give certainty, keep families out of court and out of conflict. It's a wonderful gift.
That's great. So yesterday we were at the Brewhouse Gallery, and you had, I'm going to call it show and tell. It was a show and tell, because here at Lasting Conversations, before I had this show, I did some show and tell, because what you had was part of your legacy project, and having people give voice to some items that as people are downsizing or they're estate planning, or it was a gift from somebody, maybe it had a little spiritual context to it. It's fun to say here, like we used to do this as a little kid in kindergarten, but as an adult, now there are items or memories or photographs that is part of perhaps family history or whatever the history is that wants to speak and give voice. So tell us about your legacy project.
Oh, that was such an awesome day. And thank you so much for being so generous and sharing your story. So you've heard me talk so many times about what does legacy mean? Mm-hmm. And for most people, it's inheritance. What am I leaving to my kids? Well, my opinion is...
Well, the inheritance of money, because I know where you're about to go.
Exactly.
There's another inheritance.
There is another inheritance. Yeah. And I've had people say, my kids don't care. They don't want to know anything about... But guess what? They will want to know. And not to be crude, but in the end, we're an obituary and a tag sale, right? So 10 out of 10, nobody gets out alive. And what do you want to be remembered for? My feeling is your legacy is more than just money. Money's fungible. It has no personality. It can't speak for you. Your legacy is your memories. You know, the teacup that your aunt had tea with you every Tuesday at 3 in the afternoon suddenly takes on great importance and value to the generations that come after. And we often fail to tell those stories. The saddest thing for me is the idea that when I pass, my older son will come in and just everything goes to a garage sale. But there are certain things that have a story behind them. And I told my story yesterday, and I find it pretty funny. And I'm hoping that...
It's a wine carafe of her mom's, and there's a cute little tale behind it. And these are the things that sometimes we keep them, and then sometimes it is part of downsizing, or, you know, the tag sale has to happen.
Exactly.
And so we can share a memory, and then things they do have to get gone and moved on to somebody else. But this one, your wine carafe, is adorable.
Yeah. So my mother had this wine carafe, and it was lovely. Etched glass, cranberry glass, and she put it behind. Everything had to go in the break front in the dining room. We never used anything unless it was a special occasion, and came time for her to downsize. Mm-hmm. And she said to me, take whatever you want. I said, I want that. And she said, you can't have it. So over the years, she did live with me the last 9 years of her life. And over the years, I think she thought she'd given it to me. And she said, oh, your cleaning people must have taken it. And after a while, she had me thinking that maybe she's right. Maybe something did happen. And not only did I search my basement several times, but started searching in antique stores to replace the darn thing. Because I thought, well, maybe she's really right. So the day she passed, I came home from the nursing home. It was very sad, but somehow I was led to the basement. I'm not even kidding you. I walked straight to the box. The carafe practically jumped out of the box. So my mother and I have a running joke now, because this is how she was, and everything had to be, you know, behind glass. So for a long time, I kept it in my bedroom just to mess with her spirit. And then I brought it out onto the bar, and now I keep my vodka in it. I know that she's just rolling. But we have this little joke between myself and her spirit, and I hope she hears it, and I hope she's laughing.
Oh, you know, I'm sure she is. And for whatever reason, this one particular ring just went flying off my hand. So, you know, spirits abound everywhere.
That's my mother. Okay, it had to be my mother.
Be nice. So Nancy, so these legacy projects, what else is it that you can help people do? And is there something to keep in mind for maybe it's the kids, it's the older kids, or any of us really, because in the God forbid, what is it that we can do now to leave a little something besides at minimum a POA or a power of attorney, or something where people don't have to feel so lost and overwhelmed on somebody's passing or the aftermath, either the prior or the aftermath?
Yeah. What a lot of people don't think about is what happens if something happens to you. Mm-hmm. And in my age group, the chances are 7 out of 10 that we will need some sort of help, either with our finances or healthcare decisions while we're still here. And for women, the average nursing home stay is 5 to 7 years. So you can tell we have longevity, but there's going to be an event. Anybody could get hit by a bus or, lose our memory. And if we needed someone to make decisions for us, you want to have documents in place. Mm-hmm. So the living documents for your health, the healthcare surrogate, living will, and the HIPAA, I talk about at length with clients. And if anybody wants to hear more about that, I'm happy to explain those. But those stand in your place if you cannot speak for yourself.
Right.
The durable power of attorney is your financial life. And for an elder law attorney like myself, I like to have very strong Medicaid language in there. There are many, many reasons, but the most important is that homestead law in Florida is a constitutional right. And there are many things that stay out of the Medicaid equation. So middle-class America, as we are, middle-class Florida people, do not have to devastate their legacy or themselves in order to access nursing home care. It's very detailed and there's a lot to it, but that's the nutshell version. So having documents in place while you are here, while you have your wits about you, while you have your health about you, and you're not making last minute emotional decisions because you're about to go into surgery. Mm-hmm. Let's not do that.
Right.
You have much more control. The last thing you want, your family members fighting over your bedside. The last thing you want is an estranged child having to open guardianship for you. It's expensive. It's emotional. It's long. There are so many easy ways to plan around that. Don't have to do that to your family. So don't.
Exactly. And then the legacy stories, is there more that you are offering when you go into certain places that is helping people actually share the intangible, which are some of the memories?
Yeah. So the best part is, this is a 3-part series that I offer about legacy planning. And the first part is 3 things you can do today to protect your life, your loved ones, and your legacy. And that's nuts and bolts explanation of the documents and why you need them. This second part is, why is legacy planning important? And we go a deeper dive into what homesteading means and why you should want to be a Florida resident. And the third, and my favorite part, is the legacy workshop, because now you've done what you felt you need to do. And this is the cherry on top. This is the part actually that means the most to me, because I want my son to know that story about the wine carafe, and it'll give him a giggle for the rest of his life. And hopefully he'll pass that on. I want my children to know what is important to me, what I define success as. I want them to know that we're not a people who give up. And I like to live my life, hopefully, showing my older son, George doesn't really have the capacity to understand any of that. But I think we all want to feel like we're leaving something to the next generation. So when the bough breaks, I'm hoping will become part of my legacy and part of an example to my son and his children that, yeah, life is hard. Life is hard sometimes and it sucks. But then you get on the other side of it and you just don't stop. And John Maxwell says the good stuff is always uphill. And I'm looking at him going, when do I get to stop climbing? But it's true. The good stuff is always uphill. And for us, when you get to the top rung of one ladder, that becomes the bottom rung of the next, because we are driven, we are motivated, and we're motivated by something bigger than ourselves. So I believe, even though I wanted to stop, I couldn't, because he won't let me.
The higher up.
That's right.
The higher up calling. So you have this one book. Do you have another book in you?
I do.
Or other plays?
Several.
Do you want it? What are some themes? What's bubbling up?
Well, the second book is...
Because you are a comedian by heart also.
You're funny. I just want to take a bow. My older son's an actor.
A round of applause.
Yeah, I just want that. My older son is an actor who's decided not to pursue. He's a fabulous actor. And it breaks my heart because I just want to go to the award shows and get a designer dress and take a bow. Because I made that and I want to brag about it.
Right.
But yes, I am a frustrated actress. This experience...
No longer frustrated because that's blossoming in you. You're
so excited.
Doing it.
I never thought that would happen.
Yeah.
But I met Donna Carbone at the same time you did, and Palm Beach Institute for the Entertainment Arts. And not only has she given me a platform to speak my truth and to introduce the book, but I tried to sit down and she wouldn't let me. So she said, "Oh no, now you're going to act." And I thought, well, I'll have a chance to take my own bow.
That's right.
Yeah, it's really fun. But I think the motivating factor behind all of that is not because I want to take a bow. I mean, I joke about it, but we're storytelling people.
Right.
It's inbred in our DNA. We want to be told stories and we want to tell stories. And I believe the reason that is because no one wants to feel alone. No one wants to feel unheard. The worst thing that you can do to someone is ignore them, not hate on them, not act on them, ignore them, because that means they mean nothing and they mean nothing to you. And then that permeates to the person and they start to believe that they mean nothing to anyone. We all mean something. We all have a story. We all have value. And to be able to reach someone and have someone approach me after a reading or a performance and say, "You touched my heart." What more is there in life?
It's huge. It's a beautiful thing. And you're having so much fun with it.
Yeah. I'm frankly giddy and silly with it.
Exactly. So, what else do you have? What your life is full of friends and blessings and amazingness. Are you going to travel this summer, do something a little different, or you're having fun gathering some fresh new clients doing this legacy work?
Well, Donna Carbone is lit a little fire under me, and I work best with the deadline. So I'm at work on the second book called not When the Bough Breaks. That's the first book. The second book is called Hand in the Fire, Memorial to a Marriage. And it's about what happens after that. And then I gave myself a little chuckle, and this idea met with some popularity. And I wrote a flash fiction piece called Lust in an Elevator, a geriatric love story. And
nice.
I floated it at writers' conferences, and acquiring editors liked the idea of it being a book. These two characters are not a book yet, but when I realized I was getting divorced and I was no longer in my 30s and everything wasn't where it was supposed to be, I exaggerated myself and realized I was going to be dating as an older person. And so it's quite hilarious to me. And so I'm going to be fleshing that out as well. And so excited about that.
Oh, fun. Oh, Nancy. So tell folks where they can find your current book.
Oh, you can find Where the Bough Breaks on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, anywhere the books are sold. And if you are in the Palm Beach area and you want me to sign it, I would be happy to do that for you.
And it's truly an amazing journey. It's a gut-wrenching journey, but it's an important and valuable journey. And for anyone or anybody who is related to friends or the working people anywhere really in the world, I think it's a testament to what people go through and how someone can come out on the other side, and where that there is help.
Yes.
There's always that. Where there is help.
There is help.
And hope. On that, Nancy Ferraro, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for listening, everyone. Please be sure to like, follow, review, and share this podcast. And if you'd like to be part of the conversation, send emails to podcast@lastingconversations.com and follow us on Facebook. This is Lasting Conversations. We get to the heart of everything.